Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh. Oh. Good morning, YouTube boobs. This is Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics. Talk a little about the characters and creators, and then examine the stories and the art. And this time, in keeping with the Halloween theme, and injecting some humor into the middle of the month, I want to take a look at the lead story in this book here, from 1972, Spoof number 4. Spoof. Yeah, Spoof number 4. Never heard of Spoof before. They only had a few issues. Ran for a couple of years. And I really liked Spoof. Let's see what the big book of knowledge has to spoof us about. Not much, really. Spoof number 4 from Marvel Comics, 1972. And Spoof was a humor and satire anthology book from Marvel Comics from 1970 to 73. And it had a variety of characters and, creators. I think all through the run, the primary artist was Severin. And also, from my understanding, one of the primary writers was Marv Wolfman. And now, the book was literally a spoof of pop culture, including, and specifically, movies and TV. They spoof things from the Mod Squad to the Night Stalker to Marcus Welby, MD, All in the Family, and you name it. And these were spoofs very similar to the movie and TV spoofs that were being featured in in Mad magazine. And the story we're going to take a look at here is Blechhula, written by Stuart Schwartsberg, and with art by Marie Severin, with inks by Win Mortimer. Okay. Let us go into the funny world of Spoof and have some laughs. Spoof, there you go. This is, like I said, issue 4. And here, you get a better view of the cover with the glare off of it. Spoof. And this has, right here on the cover, it has everything that they're spoofing. Of course, the movie Blechhula, which I'll talk about here. Marcus Welby, which we won't be talking about. And stuff about Santa Claus, which we won't be talking about. Okay, and of course this cover is drawn by Marie Severin, with inks by Giacoa. I've forgotten his first name. And I got this one when I was a kid. This issue when I was a kid. I loved it. I only had a few issues. Well, they only came out with a few issues, but I really liked it. And just in case you don't know, okay, well, first off, this is spoof popular culture movies, and the main story here is a spoof of a movie. And in the early 70s, there popped up a genre of movies which were collectively known as blaxploitation movies. Even well, primarily from like the movie Shaft, which was a big budget, one of the first ones. If you call it blaxploitation movie, big is relative, and stuff like Superfly, and the like, and they of course did various other movies that were intended to appeal specifically to a larger black audience, until the so-called blaxploitation movies kind of blended into the mainstream. And but this movie Blechhula was an attempt at horror for a black audience, primarily black audience, and had a vampire story. And here I got this. Of course, when I got this, I'd never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it, and about the movie. And it wasn't until years, well, actually, after I was an adult, in the mid '80s, when I finally got to see the movie Blechhula. Oh, it was bad. It was so bad it was almost good, but it was bad. And the funny thing is, of course, their version here, just spoofing the movie Blechhula, is better than the movie that they're spoofing. It is, because this is great. At least I think it is. Okay, let's take a look at Blechhula. That's right. Oh, I want to put little humorous things in here too. Like here, the patient was reading Tomb of Dracula. I don't know if you can see that, and a lot of parodies of EC horror comic titles pop up in here too, which is great because, well, Marie Severin, and I want to say, because Marie Severin is doing the art, she's the sister of the better known John Severin, and they both got their starts at EC Comics in the 50s. Marie was primarily with coloring and stuff, and eventually got started doing some pencils. And she, because I've covered her in more detail before, and she has a real nice cartoonish style, and a nice, clean, realistic style. And then, of course, for the artwork of these is kind of a blending. It's realistic, but it's just pushed a little bit to the humor side, and with some very nice, very great expressions on the faces of the people. And she does some very nice, mild caricatures of the actors in the portrayals here, and in other stuff. So I had to stop and blow my nose. Here we go, Blechhula. This is some really nice work, really nice artwork. I think Stu Schwartsberg did a nice job in adapting the story. And see, Blechhula, the horrifying maid here, people being gnawed upon, weird things around her. In this, a prince, an African prince, this is in the 1780s. An African prince and his wife are visiting Count Dracula. and they don't know he's a vampire. And here they are, just talking. Well, they got little jokes in there, wanting to help you, want to stop the slave trade, and yada yada. Need your help, blah blah blah. And he's trying to make time with the guy's wife. Dracula gets pissed and reveals himself as a vampire. And in the midst of violence, sucks the prince's blood and kills him and imprisons him in a coffin so that it will be a long time before he ever gets out after he turns into a vampire, and then imprisons the princess. Here we are, 1972. All this Castle Dracula, all this stuff's being sold. There are these two guys just trying to say how much money they can make off of it. Dracula's stuff, and they make vampire jokes because they don't believe in vampires, and say, well, yeah, sure, I suppose you're really a vampire, because they don't believe in vampires. Why don't you change into a bat and fly away? And as you wish, gentlemen. And of course, that's exactly what he did. And then they made a joke of it by having him turning into a baseball bat with bat wings. And then later, here you can see the Vault of Weevil. Comic books. Oh, it's a... I'm going to make big money. And then he tries to open the breaks the lock on the coffin. And while they're looking at the other stuff, creak. And they're both kind of freaked out because they hear the creaking. And then they hear the yawn. Oh, did you make that noise? I was hoping you did. And then, oop, oop, oop. And they go, I'm going to sluck your bud. Needs practice. So here's one of the guys in his coffin at the funeral, because he died, and they call it, his name is He-She. Oh. And they got him looking relaxed with his, kicked back with his arms over. So can you make him look a little more dead? And there is Blechhula there at the funeral home, scoping out the people. Oh, there's this lovely young lady who looks just like my princess, just like my queen, Angola. And he follows her, and he stalks her. Says, don't you recognize your prince? Kiss me. And she's off. And then they make a quip about, 200 years in a coffin will give anyone bad breath. But she dropped her purse, finds out, then gets hit by a cab. And says, okay, you set me up to be sued, yada, yada, yada. Now you're really going to put the bite on me, ain't you? Goes, precisely. And she runs into the lady who looks like his princess, runs into a club, meets her friends there, and she's terrified looking on her face. And says, say, you mean the guy chased you through the street? See, 2 puncture marks in He-She's neck, a creepy guy with long fangs and a black cape. It all adds up. And then here he is, boom, I am the prince. I have found, I found the name of this place in your purse. And he goes to give it back to her. Of course, they're all freaked out. And then he zaps her mind, hypnotizes her as Dracula does too. And while they're getting, so that she is compliant. And then, hold it, someone takes their picture. He runs off. And then she goes home to develop the pictures and said, what the heck? This is ridiculous. I've heard some people are camera shy or don't film well, but this is ridiculous. I read about stuff like that. But what are they called? Umpires? First basemen? Second lieutenants? And he goes, try vampires. And that's the end of her. Then the funeral home just called, He-She's body is gone. And and they're wondering because the white guy who had died with she had already been buried, so they dig him up, and there he pops up. Now for tomorrow's headlines: Stu Schwartsberg killed in cemetery. It's not the best. Quick, hand me the steak. Of course, they make a joke of the steak. He said a steak, not a rake. So he's trying to fight the guy off. Get her to hand him a steak. Has a rake, then a meat steak. Finally, just take off. And here is Blechhula making time with the lovely young heroine. And Tina, that's the young lady's name. She's called by her friends, that so-called prince is a vicious vampire. He says, oh, I don't care. He's going to make a wonderful husband. I love him. Yada, yada, yada. Everyone's there in the morgue. You see the cab driver. She's up and attacking. He says, I know it's a shame the way they drive. I know this is a blaxploitation film, but still, uh-oh. Oh yeah, see, they even use the term right there. Gets the doctor, the cops crash in, and instead of a cross, he uses a smiley face. And then they open, that gets her back, and then open the shades, and she gets in that. She's done in by the sun. Then the Blechhula and the lady are married, but the cops stop. That's a roadblock. The cops trying to get the girl, and she's apparently hit by a ricochet. Look at that. The gunshots go right through his head, through his hair. Said, I think I caught a ricochet off your afro. Oh no, she's dead. Nothing left to live for. So he decides to end it all because the sun is coming up, and he's in the shadows. And he starts soliloquizing. Oh, dreaded demon son, nobly go forth, cringe not before mine enemies. Yada yada yada. And he sticks his toe out for a little test. Psst, yo, that's hot. Maybe I hear my mommy calling. Maybe I'll try tomorrow. I hear it's supposed to be cloudy. And someone shoves him out there. Get out there. And there he is. Ow! He deteriorates away to Groucho Marx, Howdy Doody, and Walter Cronkite. And you got to know who all those are. And if you're too young, you probably don't know who all those are. But back then you would have. Until fades away and flies off as a little mosquito. That's funny. And I said, well, that's the end. I said, well, one good thing came out of this mess anyway. Namely, this should be the last monster film exploiting the black movie craze. And go, that's what you think. And then I got the black version of Frankenstein and all, and Werewolf and Mummy and all this other stuff. And yes, it's problematic at points, but it's a great adaptation. It's because it's so funny. It's better than the movie it's based on. That's what I like about this. So I've run too long here. Here they're talking about Santa Claus. Here's Marcus Welby, MD TV show. And anyway, that's all I've got. You might, if you ever find a real cheap copy of this, you might find it worthwhile just to pick it up for $1 or whatever to read. That's all I've got. Great artwork. It's a really good satire of the genre. And thanks for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. And that's all for now, folks. But remember, comics are art.